to Gaming Mayhem. Today we're going to have a battle report with Lizardmen against the Empire. We do our fantasy battles at 4,000 points for a standard game, and some of the campaigns we do go up. You'll see I have the terrain set up here, and I'll review what each thing is before we start. One of the things I want to note is you'll see with a lot of our battle reports that there'll be figures either unpainted or half painted, and in some cases maybe a couple proxy bases. The reason we do that is because most of us don't like playing a static list, so we're constantly changing our armies, buying new things, so we have buckets of models to either put together or paint. So it doesn't make sense for any of us and within our group to just not play with the models, so it's more fun just to go ahead and play with them and keep painting them. When we do our campaign, which will start early next year, we have a fantasy one as well as a 40k one, we'll have rewards for armies that are fully painted or more painted, so it will encourage everyone to hurry up and paint. But as many of you probably know, a lot of us have jobs, families, whatever, and it can take some time to get some of these painted, so we don't want to prevent that. So that's why some of them will be more painted than others. These two guys have most of their armies painted. I know one of the players just picked up a box of demigriffs to try out, so you'll see those will be unpainted, of course. And we always encourage people to try out a new model as a proxy if they're just not sure if they want to do it, or if it'll play the way they want to. We'll let them proxy it in. So we basically play by all the standard rules. Nothing fancy. We roll for terrain, and it's all set up, and we do a typical 4,000 point battle. So I'll review what's on the board. Here is our pre-battle board. You'll see we're using the Table War mat from Frontline Gaming. I really like these mats because of their texture. It's very, very easy to move the movement trays. And it has an advantage over the green felt because it looks way cooler. You can pick these up on Frontline Gaming's website. I think they're absolutely fantastic. It's a great portable mat that actually looks pretty cool. I use this one as considered the Chaos Dwarf Homelands. I do have the Realm of Battle stuff, but I only use those for 40k because the movement trays just don't work, and this is perfectly slick and does it very well. So you'll see what we have here. We have a couple Mysterious Forest, Mysterious River. That is a Nekaran Sphinx we've rolled. Statue in the middle is a Sinister Statue. Fences are just a fence. You'll see the pool over there. That is the Weirding Well. This is just a building tower, a Temple of Skulls, and lastly, another Mysterious Forest. So we'll pick up with the pre-game in just a second. Here is the Empire Army at 4,000. You can see there's various stages of painting going on here. There's our Inner Circle Knights. They have a Razor Standard. The captain has a war banner, and Karl Franz, right there, is the general. He has Galmaraz. And our brand new Demigriff unit, it is proxied with 2 additional ones, so there's 5 Demigriffs. Nice classic metal steam tank. Here's a unit of great swords with a detachment of handgunners. Halberdiers with a detachment of handgunners. This is a level 4 battle wizard on a Luminarch of Hirsch, which is being tried out for the first time. So we'll see how that goes, and maybe he'll decide he likes it. Another unit of halberdiers with a detachment of handgunners. Pistoliers in the back. Great cannon. And 2 Hellblaster volley guns. Both of those have a master engineer right in front of them. And lastly, there are 2 warrior priests with the one with each of the unit of halberdiers. Our Lizardman player was too drunk to show up, so I'm trying to make a... I've never played Lizardman before, but we had most of the models here, couldn't find some of them, so I made a list kind of based on the models I could find, and never having played Lizardman before, so what you see before you is a concoction of that. This guy is going to be Tini Huyen on Ancient Stegodon. That's just a regular Ancient Stegodon. Got 3 Pterodon Riders, 2 units of 30 Saurus Warriors with full commands, The white guy there is a Source Old Blood. There is a unit of Skink Skirmishers, a Bastillodon. Those things are the swarms right there. I couldn't find the swarms. I know he had some, but I don't know where they are. Some more Skink Skirmishers. Unit of 6 Craxies. Some Cold One Riders. The Source Old Blood on there. What are these things called? The fire-breathing guys. Salamanders. And to Croc Gar as the general of the army here. There's some Chameleon Skinks coming up. Like I said, I've never played this army before or made a list, so I have no idea how this is going to turn out. But we didn't want our Empire player to be stuck here with no one to play, so we're making the best of it. Here is the initial battlefield layout. Empire has won the first turn, and we're going to move into turn 1. Into the first movement phase, Karl Franz and his knights moved up. He also rolled for the Nakaran Sphinx and got Heroic Killing Blow. So Karl Franz now has that for the rest of the game. And the Steam Tank also moved up within range of those Chameleon Skinks. At the end of the Empire shooting phase, you can see there's been some changes in the board. Tehuin's Stegodon was killed outright by the cannonball from the Steam Tank. The Chameleon Skinks were shot, and they panicked and fled off the board. The Bastillodon was killed outright by the Great Cannon. One of the Skink Priests panicked from that death and is running away right there. And the rest of the guys are waiting here. The Hell Blaster landed 15 shots into the Sauruses, injuring them greatly. Now let's see what happens with the Lizardmen on their first turn. End of movement phase for Lizardmen. They've all advanced up the line. The fleeing Skink Priest did make his rally check, so he has turned around. There were no charges to declare, being that it was first turn, everybody's too far away. At the end of the Lizardmen magic phase, one of the Skink Priests cast Urnon's Thunderbolt, killing off 6 handgunners. Tuhin tried to cast his spell against a Steam Tank to kill it from Lord Beast, the magic missile that does strength 10 hits, but it did not go off. He only rolled a 12. Also, unfortunately, the Scar Veteran tried to sacrifice to the Chaos Gods on the Temple of Skulls, rolled a 1, instantly dying. End of turn 1. The Lizardmen moved up. They fired javelins but failed to do any wounds on the Knights from the Pterodons. Nobody else was in range. The Salamanders spewed their fire against the Demigryph Knights, successfully doing 1 wound. So here we are, getting ready for turn 2 of Empire. The battle lines are closing. Let's see what their artillery line does. At the end of the movement phase, the Empire Steam Tank successfully charged the Stegodon. The Inner Circle Knights successfully charged the Pterodon Riders. And the Demigryph Knights on the far side of the board successfully charged the Salamanders. In bad news for Lizardmen, the Sinister Statue annihilated 3 Skinks and 3 Source units with its deadly eye beams. Empire Magic Phase, they only rolled a 4 and didn't channel anything. They attempted to cast Speed of Light on the Demigryph Knights, and the Lizardmen used a Dispel Scroll to stop it. At the end of the shooting phase, several Saurus warriors were picked off by the Pistoliers. The unit of Skinks lost 2 of them, causing a panic test, and they have started to run away. And the Cold One Cavalry took several losses. It's down to 5-man unit, but they passed their panic test. Now on to close combat. And sadly, in other news, Croc Garge was hit by a cannonball and died instantly. Alright, after those close combat results, the Steam Tank managed to cause 13 impact hits, resulting in 3 wounds on the Stegodon, and the Stegodon did nothing, then rolled a 5-6-6 on its Cold-Blooded, so it turned and ran away. The Inner Circle Knights, Karl Franz blew through the Pterodons immediately, and they overrun into the Saurus Warriors. And over here, the Demigryph Knights annihilated the Salamanders, suffering no wounds whatsoever. They broke and ran. The Demigryphs pursued, wiped them out, and ran into Grimlock, who is still left alive and frenzied. Now we're on to turn 2 of the Lizardmen. You can't really blame me for this. As I said, I've never played Lizardmen before, and I made this list in about 5 minutes, so I have no idea what I'm doing. Here we are after the Lizardmen movement phase. The smaller unit of Sauruses managed to complete a charge in the flank of the Inner Circle Knights. Everybody else moved up. The Swarms failed their charge. The Kroxigors failed their charge. However, the Cold Ones did manage to charge the detachment of handgunners. The Sinister statue blasted the Skinks, causing a panic check, and they ran away. The other Skinks that were attempting to rally failed and ran some more. The Stegodon, however, did manage to successfully rally itself. So, on to the magic phase. Urnon's Thunderbolt managed to kill 3 of the Great Swords, and there was the Empire successfully dispelled the other magic, the Wind Blast, as well as dispelling the blast against the Steam Tank. Well, that was used, the Dispel Scroll, by the Empire. So the magic phase was fairly uneventful. On to shooting. Alright, after the glorious battle, the Saurus warriors fought hard. The main unit broke and ran after losing combat res by 4. They managed to kill 3 of the Inner Circle Knights combined. However, the Saurus warriors on the flank have stayed in combat. Over here, our Cold Ones wiped out the handgunner detachment quite readily and overran into halberdiers. And the Demigryphs completely annihilated Grimlock before he could attack, and they have refaced to come to the rear of the Cold Ones. So that is the end of Lizardmen turn 2. On to turn 3. Empire, end of movement. The Pistoliers attempted to charge the Saurus warriors fighting the Inner Circle Knights, and they failed the charge, so they have just lurched up, as with a couple other units. On to magic. Okay, magic phase. Empire Warrior Priest, the Halberdiers, in combat with the Cold One Riders, tried a prayer, and it was dispelled. However, his second prayer, Hammer of Sigmar, did go off, granting the unit re-rolls of fail to wound. Then the Solheim's Bolt of Illumination launched off against the Kroxigors. It killed the first one outright, went into the second one doing 2 wounds. So the most successful Empire magic phase of the game. Alright, the Empire shooting phase. 2 Hellblaster volley guns laid waste to the Kroxigors. They were completely wiped out. The Stegodon was hit by the Steam Tank's cannon, killing it. Then it steam blasted Tehuahuin, and the Pistoliers finished him off. The Great Cannon fired at one of the Skink Priests, however, the ball did not hit him. So, does not look good for the Lizardmen. On to close combat. Alright, into the Empire turn. The Saurus is held against Carl and his gang here. That will continue. Over here, the Cold One Riders suffered 2 wounds, managed to deal out 6. However, the Horde is steadfast and refuses to give up. Well, let's see what the Lizardmen can salvage out of this nightmare. Alright, Lizardmen movement. Not much left to do. The Sauruses did rally, so they're prepared to go back into battle. The Storm successfully charged the Great Swords, and the Skink Priest just maneuvered to blast some spells. The Skink Priest cast Curse of the Midnight Wind on Karl Franz and his unit. However, he suffered a miscast, blowing himself up and taking only a wound, at least. The other Skink failed to cast his spell by Dispel from the Empire Mage. This is the end of turn 3. As you can see, there's not much left. We have a bit of a brutal fight going on here. The Sauruses refuse to give up, and the mighty Skink Priest is still there. He has to guard his minions. So, We usually don't concede games until they're kind of like this, but since we have a nice little battle going on with the Sauruses, we'll go ahead and at least finish it out to see if they might get lucky against Franz's unit. Alright, movement phase. The Pistoliers successfully charged the Saurus warriors. The other halberdiers moseyed up there. The Demigryphs charged the Skink. The Skink chose to stand and fight this battle for the glory of his mother who died at the hands of a Demigryph Knight. That's the only other reason I could figure out he would stay. So here we go into this, we're going to go ahead and just bypass the magic and shooting, I think, as there's no point, and we'll finish up this close combat. Alright, so that's a wrap of our Lizardmen Empire battle with a complete massacre of the Lizardmen. So, as I said before, I've never played Lizardmen, and I made that list in 5 minutes to supplement for the alcoholic right here who was too drunk to get up and play. So, we're going to discuss what went wrong and what went right. As the Empire player, he's been working on a couple different lists trying to increase his winning odds.
Obviously.
And this was a much more gun-line heavy army. It's pretty obvious that the cannon and the steam tank cannon were MVPs, none of them misfired, and they took out 1,000 points in turn one.
The Hellblasters were excellent.
The Hellblasters, the combination of a dual Hellblaster was pretty devastating, especially against the Lizardman army that didn't have a lot of shooting. Not knowing the Lizardmen, there's a couple things I didn't quite play right. Although losing the big dinosaurs, the 3 big dinosaurs in turn one really threw off my game there. My original idea was to rush up on both sides with the cold ones and a Carnosaur on that side, and then you had the 2 Stegodons on this side with the Bastillodon covering the center and helping to increase the swarms. So within a couple turns when we hit the main line, there'd be, maybe like 6 to 10 swarms there, and they'd be able to help the Bastillodon take them out. Obviously, without all those big monsters, there was nothing left, so they never even made it past there. It was probably a bad idea to try to use the Temple of Skulls, but at that point I'd lost so many points, I felt like, hey, if I can make my Scar Veteran a little more better, why not try it? However, I rolled a 1, so he croaked. Alright, Mr. Lizardman player, what do you think? He's reviewing the list. He hasn't seen it really until now.
Judging from the list, while we all love big dinosaurs, that's why you play Lizardmen.
Because dinosaurs are awesome.
Dinosaurs are awesome. Sometimes they don't pack as much punch as you'd like them to be able to. And
or in this case, no punch at all.
Also, they can be wiped out by great cannons. And actually, the bane of Lizardmen is the gun line. Because it's long distance, they can actually penetrate the armor, they can do a lot of damage, and they can kill your friggin' multiple wound creatures like that.
Yeah, and another surprising good play was the Demigryph Knights. Those did really well.
Demigryph Knights are...
I really, as a new unit that he's trying out here, I felt they were very successful in packing a good solid punch, and they have a lot of maneuverability. I don't think you'd used Karl Franz before either, have you? No. So that was another new one he tried. That was my suggestion, was to go ahead and try Karl Franz just to see what he would do.
Still point heavy.
And he's really good, especially if you're fighting armies that have a lot of multi-wound creatures. So that's pretty much it. Poor Lizardmen, they'll never live this shame down. So that's our battle report. This is the first one.
Never relinquish control. Always have control of your army.
That's what happens if you stay up too late getting drunk. Somebody else plays your army.
Don't drink, kids.
But this is our first battle report done, so go ahead and let us know what you like, what you don't like, any suggestions, or anything else you want to see. And we'll see you next time here at Gaming Mayhem.